Hello. I don't know if you can see it, but my neck is visibly swollen. When you're so sick that whatever's happening on the inside of your throat becomes visible on the outside, it's time to go to the doctor. I haven't eaten anything other than popsicles and ice cream in the last 48 hours because I can't swallow it. So when I woke up this morning and I couldn't even swallow the ice cream, it's time to go to the doctor. I am not a person that goes to the doctor. Like, I go for my yearly physical and that's it. That's all. I don't want to see these people. I got enough medical shit in my life. I don't want to go to the doctor. If you see me at the doctor, something is wrong. And something is wrong. And you know what that something is? I have a school-aged child. That's what's wrong. That's it. For those of you who have not experienced the joy of parenthood, this is what your life is. When the first ice storm hit, that evening, kiddo spiked a fever and got a terrible sore throat. And I was freaking out because I'm like, what if this is strep? And we got to get him out of here for some antibiotics, and there's an inch of ice on the road. That didn't happen. We didn't get an inch of ice. I'm grateful for that. And I'm also grateful he got better. He got better in time to go back to school for about 20 minutes. So he was feeling fine. And then next winter storm comes in, and as the snow starts falling, spikes a fever, starts sneezing and coughing, and like clockwork. And then so I took him to the doctor last Wednesday, and I'm like, hey doc, what's wrong with my kid? He's like, your kid's got pneumonia. What? What? Okay, well, let's get some antibiotics in there. Okay, well, cool. We got the antibiotics. Turn him around. He's fine. Nobody worry about him. Worry about me. I asked the doctor, I was like, hey, I got a photo shoot this afternoon with a newborn baby. Somebody wants pictures of their newborn baby. Am I good to do that? Like, maybe I shouldn't, I'm feeling fine, but my kid's got pneumonia. Maybe I shouldn't be around a newborn baby. He's like, you're fine. You're fine. Everything is fine. This is not something that's going to transmit through the family. Kiddo is not contagious. I canceled the shoot out of an abundance of caution. You're welcome, newborn baby. Meanwhile, kiddo, like, he got antibiotics. He's bouncing around, like, whacking me with a toy sword while I'm trying to rest. And all weekend long, I'm like, I should go to urgent care. But no, that's the copay. I could save the copay if I wait till Monday. This is why I work so hard to keep a relationship with primary care physician, so I won't have to pay the copay. And then I woke up this morning at 0500, and it felt like someone was hammering a hot railroad spike into my throat. And I checked and made sure that no one was. So that was when I knew it was time to go to the doctor. They open at 7. I left the house at 0630, which is not, that's another thing, doesn't happen in my life. If I leave the house at 0630, it's because the house is burning down. Haul the ass over here. I'm sitting in their parking lot at 7:01, and I call them on the phone. And I'm like, hey, I'm in your parking lot, dying. Can you see me? They're like, yeah, first appointment's at 8:45. What? First, what? But on it says you're open at 7. Well, that's office hours. Yeah, you're a doctor's office. Let me in to see the doctor. I just need someone to stab my throat with a cotton swab and test whatever goo comes off that thing and give me some drugs. That's all I need. So it just doesn't have to be a big thing. We don't have to talk. I'd rather not talk. Do you want a dead body in your parking lot? Is this what the U.S. healthcare system has come to? It's like Mount Everest, like trying to go to the doctor is a lifelong pursuit, and you have to walk past dead bodies to get there. So now I'm sitting in the parking lot, which means y'all get an extra video this week. Actually, you get a video this week because I didn't do one over the weekend because obviously the sun is coming out from behind a cloud. Why is everything got to be so annoying? I'm gonna call him back. I'm gonna be like, listen, do you know what kind of biohazard a decaying body would be in your parking lot? Like, you're gonna get rats. And actually, you know what? You know what would be worse is a living body intentionally spreading its strep throat. Yeah, sure, I'll wait till 8:45, and then I'm gonna come inside. I'm gonna lick the doorknobs. I'm gonna lick the chairs. I'm gonna lick the counter. I'm gonna lick the little pin on the chain and the clipboard. Hope you guys like popsicles. John Galdieri and family, thank you so much for the book. I finished it in a feverish state of spitting blood, and I loved it. It was a great book. One of the things okay, so if you're tuning in, if you didn't see the last video, John Gallieri, one of the oldest friends of the channel, and his family sent me a book called The Stranger in the Woods. It's a story about the North Pond Hermit, who was a guy. He was like 20 years old, and he just kind of walked away from it. Literally, just I guess had some sort of break and drove until he ran out of gas, walked into the woods, and didn't come out for 27 years, and he subsisted by stealing things from people, which is kind of the moral ambiguity of the story. Well, not really ambiguity. You shouldn't do that. Anyway, that's the story, and the thing that really impressed me was that he didn't get sick for 27 years because he didn't have a school-aged child. But I wholeheartedly recommend this book. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you know that I kind of became an inner hermit, an intellectual hermit. That's what the Gribley's Folly concept is all about. And so I definitely related a lot to, who are these people? Who are these people? These look like patients. You better not be walking into the office. You better not be going to see a doctor. I am going to lick you. I'm going to get out of my car and I'm going to lick you. What in the world? You couldn't fit me in to stick a cotton swab in my throat for 10 seconds. Come on. Reading this book, though, really like reacquainted me with the Gribley's Folly idea and the reasons that I did all that work. And I, I think my big failure there was making it so cerebral, because I think people didn't really understand. But I was super conflicted because I had been, if you're newer than like 2017, I was a journalist, and I watched journalism fall apart in the United States, and decided I was going to quit worrying about civics, and I was going to concentrate on the woods and fishing and the things that I enjoyed. And I think that concept, that's fairly simple, but it just got too complicated. I didn't explain it very well, but that was the idea. And I can't leave my family, and I don't want to live in the woods where it's cold. Like, that was the other thing. This North Pond Hermit guy, man, that dude is tough. I am not that tough. There were parts in the book where he's talking about how he would, in the dead of winter, he would get up at 2:30 in the morning and walk in circles in his campsite just so he didn't die. No, I mean, I hate people too, but I wouldn't do that. But the idea for Gribley's Folly was to be an inner hermit. There was a phrase that I read in some writing about the Third Reich, that there were regular Germans, there were Nazis, and there were inner immigrants, the people that they couldn't physically leave the country, but they took their intellectual potential and their economic potential out of the society as much as they could, because they didn't want to be a part of it. And the phrase was inner immigrant, and there was a lot of back and forth and critical writing about. Hang on, I have to swallow again. There was a lot of back and forth and critical writing about, is that a cop-out? Is that the inner immigrant thing? Like, well, it's easy to say, I'm not a Nazi, I'm an inner immigrant. On the other hand, what do you expect people to do? Everybody can't leave the country. How do you navigate these waters? Anyway, I remember when I was writing the Gribley's Folly book in 2020, which I think is available on the website. It might be available. This is why it's so hilarious when people say I'm like making videos to get clicks or like promote myself or whatever. It's like I might have a product for sale. I don't remember. But if you're on Patreon, I think you get it for free. I'm a terrible business person. I don't know. I'll give it to you for free if you're on Patreon, even if that's not already there. You just let me know. What was I talking about? Oh, I remember in 2020 writing the foreword to that book, and it was like looking back on the last 4 years of being in the woods, learning to fish and all that, and feeling like I had been very naive in the beginning, thinking that I could ever get away from the society, could ever actually really be. And now there's people leaving the doctor's office. The people that came in first, they're well, they're better. Trotsky said that just because you don't take an interest in the dialectic, which is Russian for political discourse, Just because you don't take an interest in politics doesn't mean politics won't take an interest in you. And these are words from a man who, like, they sent an assassin literally most of the way around the world to kill this guy with an ice pick, a mountain climber's axe, whatever. So who was I to think that if I just learned to fish well enough, I would somehow be insulated from everything that's going on? And I don't know, but you do need you need a certain level of compartmentalization to be able to function. The book went into different types of hermits, and like there's religious hermits and protester hermits, like people that don't like society and so they leave. And so and then there was a third kind, which I think is just crazy people. If you decide to become a hermit, that's all well and good, but there's not a lot of hermits that actually self-sustain. And the book didn't directly come out and say this, but I'm glad you got an appointment. The book, like there was like people called anchorites that they would basically entomb in the wall of a church live, and then there was a little hole, and they would slide them food and slide out chamber pots, and they just lived in a dark hole for the rest of their lives as like a religious rite or something. And that's certainly something to be respected. I guess it's impressive. It's impressive. But they were being supported by the people in the church. And this guy that the book is about, he lived alone for 27 years in the woods, and that is impressive, but he was stealing the whole time. So you can ignore the dialectic, but if you're stealing from the dialectic, then yeah, it'll eventually take an interest in you. Not that I was ever stealing from the dialectic, that sounds like a phrase that I would have written on a Gilgamesh essay. I think though that there's a certain amount of selfishness to being a hermit, and even if you're an inner hermit, that's energy that you're taking away from your community and your family. But I also think that it's necessary. I think that the time that I spent living in the woods intellectually and mentally and artistically was a hermitage. Is that a word? And at times like these, when my throat is on fire, I would kind of like to go back. A friend of mine recently said, this is brilliant: the price of community is annoyance. It rings in my ears sometimes. I am rapidly running out of the ability to talk. So John and family, thank you so much for the book. I really recommend it if you're somebody that can relate to that sort of thing. Stranger in the Woods, the Tale of the Last True Hermit, or something like that. I'll put a link down below. Thank you for watching. I've still got a few minutes, but I'm going to call and rattle their cage a little bit. See if I can get somebody to swab me. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.